Hello and welcome to the Tiny Human Knits podcast. My name is Laura and I'm coming to you from Fredericton, New Brunswick, Canada, where I live with my boyfriend, our dog, our cat, and our rabbit. You can find me online as Tiny Human Knits on Instagram, Ravelry, Etsy, and YouTube, and I will have links to all of my social media and everything I talk about in this podcast in the description box below. Hello and welcome. It's a lovely overcast day out today. It's quite warm. I think we finally turned into the springtime season. I'm really excited for when the rain will start. This is already off kilter. This is the problem with not planning things. I never write anything down. I just sort of put everything I want to talk about around me and hope for the best. It doesn't work out so great. I am wearing my Friday tee by PetiteKnit that I knit out of my own hand-dyed yarn. I have talked about it many a time on here before, so I won't talk about it too much now. You've seen it, you know it, whatever. But I don't think I have anything to talk about at the beginning. If I have a sheen, it's because I am a little bit sweaty. It's kind of warm in here. I'm just gonna go right into finished objects. I don't think this will be too long of an episode today because I have things to talk about, but I'm really bad at like talking extra stuff. Okay, I'm gonna move into finished objects immediately. There's nothing for me that I need. Oh, hi, Teague. Hi. Shrimps come to say hello. Say hello. Say hello. She's almost 6 years old. Oh gosh. It's her birthday next month. She'll be 6. Anyway, my first finished object to show you today is my Caspian sweater by Jared Flood. Kitty, do you want to be part of this or not? You do? I'm a little bit allergic to her, so now I feel like I need to sneeze. Can I talk about this or not? Okay, bye. So I finished my Caspian sweater, and I'm very, very happy with it. So I knit this. It's a pattern by Jared Flood for Brooklyn Tweed, and I knit it out of Blue Sky Fibers Woolstock Worsted in the Loon Lake colorway, and it is glorious. It is a saddle shoulder construction. So it's knit front and back are knit separately in the flat, and then you knit the sleeves, do some shaping, and then you knit the saddle shoulder, and then you sew all of the pieces together, which was an event, but also easier than I thought it was going to be. But yeah, it blocked out beautifully. This yarn is gorgeous. I used 3 skeins of the Woolstock Worsted, and it comes in either 50 grams or 150 grams, so I used up 3 150 gram skeins with like a little bit left over. If I had knit the proper length that the pattern required you to do, I would have gone into the 4th skein, but I am very glad I shortened this. I ended up shortening it in the cable section, and I don't think it takes away from the overall pattern at all. But yeah, and then you go in and you pick up stitches for the collar after you do all the sewing. And I do have to say, the collar, when I picked up the amount of stitches that it required, way too big. Way too many stitches. It flared out so badly. And so I ripped that one out, and then I picked up I think about 15 fewer stitches than was required, but I'm very, very happy with it. Very happy indeed. And for anyone out there who has never done a seamed together sweater, it's not as hard as it seems. It's just a matter of practice. I have done it so many times that I don't really find it that difficult because I've just done it so many times. So when it comes to, say, the side seam here, because the 2 pieces are sewn together as well, it's literally just a pick up the leg of one column or pick up 2 of the legs of one column, 2 on the other, or 1, depending on your preference. But when it comes to, say, sewing together, pardon me, sorry. So when it comes to sewing together a seam like the panel that's knit this way and then the sleeve that's knit this way when you're knitting rows and columns together. I know Fruity Knitting has a fantastic tutorial on how she does it, how Andrea does it, and honestly, I've done it so many times that I don't even really count. I just sort of eyeball it, and I'm really okay with, oh, I messed that up, I need to take out this stitching and do it again. Totally fine. And I find after I did the first sleeve, I knew exactly what I needed to do with the second sleeve, so that was great. But also what I did for sewing the front panel to the saddle shoulder here is I literally just counted how many stitches or how many rows were in the saddle and then how many stitches were in the panel. And then I just figured it out how for every stitch that I sewed together, I needed to take like 1.3 of a row or something like that. So I knew I needed to take, like, I could do 1, 1, 1, 1 until I got to that amount that I needed to make up for, and then take 2 stitches from the row. I hope that makes sense. It makes sense to me just because I've done it so often, but you can literally do that. It makes it a lot easier. You just do the math of how many rows and how many stitches you need to sew together, and you can figure out how often you need to skip a stitch, really. And I find that made it really easy for me to do it in like one go. A couple times I had to take it out because I was not paying attention, but besides that, I've got a lump on here, I think, from sewing in an end. Anyway, I hope that helps anyone who might be struggling with how to sew things together. Again, I have done it so often that it doesn't bother me at all. I am very much I want that sweater, so I'll do whatever I need to do to get that sweater. But I'm super happy with it. I knit it on 4mm needles, and I was very happy that the sleeves didn't have any of the cables on it. Because these cables, they're beautiful, but they were a kick in the pants to knit. They're a bit fiddly, and this texture stitch in between is also fiddly, but it is beautiful. And this is a sweater that has been on my to make list for at least 7 years. I started it a long time ago in a different yarn that now, looking back, I definitely would not have had enough of it to finish. But I've been wanting to make this sweater for so long, and I'm really, really glad that I now have it finished. And I don't think I'll wear it that often, and that has nothing to do with like the pattern or anything like that. It's just a bit fancy, and it has to, you know, you have to put pants on really to wear it nicely. You can't just wear leggings with it for my own personal styling. So it's going to be something that I wear out of the house when I ever leave the house. So yeah, I don't know how much wear I'm actually going to get out of it, but I'm very happy I have it. I'm super happy with the yarn. And yeah, I'm just thrilled. And this is another one of those things, I've mentioned this on so many of my podcasts, and some of you may get a little tired of me repeating it all the time, but whenever I have 1x1 rib in the round on a project, I always knit it from the wrong side. So for this pattern, the bottom, it's knit flat. So I just leave it like that because it has a tendency to even itself out. It'll look the same on both sides, so it doesn't really matter. But I know for a fact that my 1x1 ribbing is always neater on the wrong side of the fabric because my purls in 1x1 ribbing are tighter than my knit stitches. So on the reverse, the knit stitches, which are the purls that you are knitting, are neater. So whenever I did, like, these sleeves were written for in the round, not flat. So I cast on my stitches for the sleeve, and then I knit the length of ribbing that I need to do for the cuff. And then I do a German short row and turn my work inside out and start knitting from the other side. So that means that technically I knit, this is my side, the right side that I was knitting, but then I turned it inside out, and this, it just puts the wrong side on the outside so that my 1x1 ribbing is super, super neat. As you can see the difference here. And it's kind of funny. I've seen lots of people posting things that have 1x1 rib, and I have noticed that I feel like the majority of people's 1x1 rib is neater on the wrong side. And then when it comes to the collar, if you have to pick up stitches, what I do is I just leave a really long tail and I start picking up the stitches with the tail, so that when it comes to starting to knit the 1x1 rib, I turn the whole thing inside out. So when it comes to knitting the 1x1 rib, you can start with the working yarn and not have to actually do the German short row to turn it around. You can just start working with the working yarn. And because you picked up with the tail, you can just works out. It's just really easy that way. I sort of goofed and did not bind off very smoothly on this side. I might undo that sewn in end and fix that, but as of right now, it's fine. Anyway, that's my first finished object. Very happy with it. It's gonna get folded up and put with all my other sweaters that I've knit, which is getting quite, it's turning into quite the pile. Last year, I think I've said before, I had such a successful knitting year where I think I finally figured out what my style is with my knitwear. I know what sizes I like, I know what style I like, I know what colors and yarn I like. So I went from giving away almost, I would say at least 60% of the things that I had knit, I ended up giving away to people because they didn't fit me, they weren't my style, all this other stuff. And last year I have kept all but maybe 2 or 3 of the things that I knit that weren't exclusively gifts. And yeah, I'm really starting to get quite the collection of hand knits, and I'm so excited about that because it means that the things that I knit from now on as well are gonna suit me and I will wear them. I'm very excited by this. Anyways, the second finished object I have is a pair of socks, and it is the April colorway for my Lord of the Rings collection. If you are new here, I dye self-striping yarn almost exclusively, and I've been doing a Lord of the Rings collection for the last few years. And so I finished up this sample, and it's for the April update, which will be on the 7th of April, Atlantic Standard Time +1. I think it's Atlantic Summer Time, but I can't really remember. But we had our time change last weekend, and I finished this up, and I don't know exactly why it's become one of my favorite colorways ever, but I absolutely fell in love with the colors. I don't know why. But they're based off, I usually base my colorways off either a scene or a character, so I'm pulling colors from like a particular screenshot or a character's outfit. This one is called Potatoes, and it's based off the scene of Sam making like his little rabbit stew or whatever. And I love it so much. I love it so, so much. Again, it's called Potatoes. And I knit my socks the same every time. 2.25 millimeter needles on 56 stitches, 15 rounds of ribbing, 2x2 ribbing. And then I almost always do, was it 8? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, 8, just 8 stripes. And then I always like to put my heel in at a, in between 2 different colorways. And then I got my contrast slip stitched heel flap with I do 3 stitches of garter on either side, so it's easier to pick up stitches. Gusset decreases, and then I knit from the end of my heel turn, I knit 75 rows, and then I start doing the decreases, and that's what works for me, and I really like it. And when it comes to my own self-striping, I've figured this out. If I only do 7, I think if I only do 7 rows, am I mistaking this? I finished there, never mind. But I can very easily get a pair of socks from a 50-gram skein and then the contrast color, which I only usually ever use for the heel. So if I use the contrast color for the cuff and toe, or one of either, I can get cuff and toe and heel from one mini, but that's because I have very small feet. Very small feet. I have size 6.5, like North American women size, so my feet are not very big. Anyway, I really, really like these. They'll go again on my pile of finished socks that I shan't wear for a while and live with my other ones. I don't have any other sample socks on my needles at the moment, but I am going to have a little bit of a colorway making session this month probably, or next month, because I have a lot of ideas floating around in my head and a lot of collections and a lot of things and all that stuff. But I liked the colors in that colorway so much, so much, that I decided, and we're going to move on to whips now, I decided that I wanted to make another Gartrell crew, which I knew this before, because I love my Gartrell crew. It is a pattern by Tanis Lavallee, and it fits almost, I think it's almost my favorite fit out of all of the sweaters that I have made myself, and I'm pretty sure it's because you knit it, it's also a seamed garment, but it's a raglan seam, so there's raglan here, but because you have to sew it together, there's so much structure in the raglan that I find it sits on the body really well. And I've actually considered, like, I want to make another Cozy Classic Raglan by Jessie Maid, and I am considering adding an extra like a stitch or two in the raglan that I could do like a faux seam with, where you just take a thread and you kind of pretend to seam up that extra stitch, and then I feel like it would give it more structure and it would fit better, because I find with the raglans a lot, they don't sit particularly well on my body shape. But yeah, I find the Gartrell fits fantastically, so I think I might try that just to see what happens. But I did want to cast on another Gartrell, and I am cruising along with it. So I dyed up some of my Tweed DK yarn, which is what I knit my first Gartrell crew out of. If you've never seen that, I knit a very rainbow Gartrell last year, and I love it. What am I doing here? So I dyed the colors, a skein of each in the colors from my Potatoes colorway. And I really, really like how they turned out. I love these colors so much. They're so earthy, and I don't know. I honestly couldn't tell you what I like about them so much. But I finished the body. So technically you're supposed to knit the back and front flat and then seam the sides, but I don't really see the point in it for myself, because then you'll have like twice the amount of ends to weave in on the side. So I just knit the body up to the point of where you start doing the sleeve cap shaping, or the armhole shaping, the underarm shaping. Wow. And then I separate and knit the front and back separately, and then I just when I do my seaming, it's all good. But yeah, I started this last week, and I'm super excited because I absolutely adore how it's turning out. And yeah, this is another pattern knit on 4mm needles, and I am very, very happy with it. I love this so much. I think it's going to be absolutely fantastic, and I'm so excited to have another one of these in my wardrobe, because again, it's so easy to wear. So I finished the front and the back, or the body, and then I'm working currently on the first sleeve. And I just have to finish this top color, and then I add in this color again. So I'm like right next to, I'm almost where I need to start doing the cap shaping, and I'm super happy with it. And then I just figured out sort of the offset way that I want to have the colors striping matching on the side. I'm so happy with it. I'm so happy with this. I think the colors work so well. I have considered ordering more bare tweed and doing kits of this, because I am knitting the 40-inch size, I think, in the pattern. And I have a feeling, I'm not 100% sure yet, but I have a feeling I'm gonna have plenty of yarn. Like this color here, which I have to add in soon, like these feel like I have at least half the skein left. that might just be me wishful thinking, but I'll have to see how much I have left, because if I do a kit with the 6 colors, and to be honest, I can do this with almost any of my self-striping colorways if you want it. If you want a stripy sweater but you're unsure about color, like what colors you want, I think I might open it up to dyeing some of my other self-striping colorways to be full skeins on tweed or regular yarn if you want. Because I think it's such an easy way to visually like see what kind of colors will go together. I find people are very visual creatures a lot of the time, and it's just easy if you see something you like. You know, I hope this makes sense. Oh my God. But yeah, I'll have to weigh what the leftovers end up as. But there's loads. I have loads left. Lots. But yeah, I'm working on this. It should be done very soon. I'm very excited. I'm so happy I cast this on. I keep looking at my other colorways being like, ooh, what's the next Gartrell crew gonna look like? It's like, you don't need to start one right away. You can wait a little bit. But I loved these colors so much. So much. So my only other work in progress at the moment is my the Musselburgh hat that I'm knitting for Jason, who is my boyfriend. And this is almost exclusively my workout knitting, is what I said before. So I've gotten this far on it. Not very far, but I don't work on it very consistently. I actually, after my last episode, I actually looked up what the colorway was called. This is a Yarning Apart yarn. It's on a DK base that I have had in my stash for 5 or 6 years. And Jason specifically asked for this yarn, and then I'll be knitting him a cowl afterwards as well. Not that he'll be able to wear them until winter rolls around again, but that's great. Whatever. Do not care. But yeah, I actually looked up what the colorway was called, and it's called Rust Spots. Very accurately. Very accurately indeed. Because that's what I said it looked like. But yeah, I'm super happy with how it's coming out. It'll be really nice when when I get to block it when it's finished, because it has been caked for so long that it's sort of like crinkly without having been knit. It's just sort of like, yeah, it'll smooth out a lot once I get to block it. But yeah, that's just what I'm working on when I'm doing my workouts, my casual workouts, my cardio. Because my job is very physically demanding, and it's nice to get my cardio up, so I have that. But yes, actually, that's my only other knitting work in progress. I haven't worked my 1031 again, but I will pick that up as soon as I'm done my Gartrell, and then I'll probably finish that really quick too, because it is a super quick project on 5mm needles. But I have been working on 2 other works in progress. The first one I will show you is cross stitch. I just want to give a quick update. I showed this a few weeks ago on, maybe in February, about something that I wanted to start working on again, because it sort of links into something I'm going to be working on later in the year, and that is my Alphonse Mucha cross stitch. I finally picked it up again like the day before yesterday, and it is the Blonde by The Art of Stitch. This has been a work in progress for I think 4 years. And I am finally going to finish it because I am desperate to finish it. I always find it so funny that cross stitch does not have the same immediacy to me as knitting does. I'm finding neither does crochet. I have not worked on my mother-in-law's crochet blanket for the last few weeks. I might have to actually make that a priority, because it's so easy for me to be like, oh, I have plenty of time to finish it. It's modular. Put it away. And then my knitting takes over. I might have to actually make that one what I work on during the day. We'll see. Anyway, I finally started working on this one again, and this is how far it's gotten. I know it probably doesn't look any different than the last time I showed, but I have officially finished 25% of it. I finished this quarter of the circular pattern yesterday. It is 100% done. So I'm moving on to this quarter, and I will finish that one. And then I will finish this one. And then I will work on the last quarter, and then I will be finished. I love it so much. It's very beautiful. There's a lot of different colors in it. And it's so wee. It's so small, but so many colors. And I am stitching this on my favorite 18 count Aida, which I just buy in huge rolls from Michael's. It's super cheap that way. But it is my favorite 18 count, and I'm really liking it. And I just want this to be done so I can put it in a frame and put it up on the wall. And then there's another cross stitch that is like Amsterdam, like with boats and stuff, that is probably about 50% done as well, and I want to finish that one as well before I start anything new. Except small stuff. Small stuff doesn't count. But yeah, just an update on that. I will be working on this. I'm trying to work on it a little bit during the day every day because it's just something that's different. And it makes me feel a lot more focused because a lot of times when I'm knitting, I get distracted by my phone and all of that stuff. But this, you can't really, you gotta pay attention. So that's one of my sort of things I've been working on. And then the last thing I've been working on, I started another quilt pattern. I cut it all out and I'm doing it in a sort of assembly line type situation. But before I started the first bits, I did make a practice block, and this is for, it's a wedding gift for my boyfriend's sister who is getting married in October. And I asked her if there was anything she wanted for her wedding gift, because like she's 30 years old, she's been with her partner for a very long time, like they don't really need anything, like they're not like starting out fresh. So I asked her if there was anything she wanted me to make for her, and she said like what, and I said, well, it could be like a quilt, could be, and then she's like, quilt is great. So the other day I asked her what sort of colors she wanted for her quilt, and she said gray, black, or white. She's very monochromatic. It works, whatever. So I went to the yarn store, not the yarn store, the fabric store the other day, just the local Fabricville, and I picked out 3 colors of the same pattern, which I think was a perfect idea. So I picked out a gray, a black, and a white in the same sort of leaf design, and I will show you here in a second. The pattern I picked for this is sort of ridiculous. I picked, it's called the Adjourn quilt by Juniper Design. I will link it in the description box below. It has many pieces. It is very detailed, but I made a practice block that is the like a pillowcase size or a wall hanging, and this is what it looks like. It is going to be a lot of sewing, but yeah, I think it's going to be so beautiful. It is a lot of sewing. It's a lot of finagly sewing, but I'm so happy. I'm making the queen/king size, so it'll be 30 of these blocks without this edging. So it'll be huge, and I hope she likes it. I hope she likes it. But yeah, all the pieces are cut out. Everything is ready. I'm currently making the inside blocks. I'm currently making these, which is it's just fiddly. It's just fiddly. That's all it is. Not hard. The nice thing about this, even though it's got a bunch of like 1/2 inch like finished strips, so you cut out 1 inch and then you take a 1/4 inch out of each, edge when you're sewing it together. The nice thing is you don't have to seam match. Like you don't have to like match your corners or anything really. So it's like difficult but easy at the same time. But yeah, that's another thing I'm working on. It's gonna take a while. I do have until October, but I still need to make sure I have enough time to get it quilted. I probably will be trying to find somewhere local or nearer me anyway that I can send it to, because it will be too big for my mother-in-law's long arm quilting machine. So I have to get it quilted somewhere else, and also as a bit of a, we'll see, actually, I'm not entirely sure, but yeah, I'll probably get a big, like extra wide quilt back thing, and then I will, I think for this one I'm gonna make a little patch to put on it too, because I've never labeled any of my quilts. It's terrible, I know, but I want to put a little label for it being a wedding quilt, and it's something I've regretted not putting on other quilts that I've made for people. But yeah, I do want to start a couple things for my sister's new baby who's due in August, and yeah, just because I keep making things for Axton because I know he'll wear them because he's just that kind of kid. Axton is my nephew, in case you're new. Um, but yeah, I need to make something new for the new baby because I don't want it just to be like hand-me-downs. Not fair. But that is it for now. Next time I'll probably have a lot of socks to talk about, but we'll see. I'm kind of just going with the flow. There's nothing that I'm working on that has a deadline besides the quilt, and my deadline is pretty far away. April, May, June, July, August, September. 6 months should be enough. But yeah, that's all for now, and I will see you the next time I have anything to talk about. So have a lovely day, and goodbye.